Quality management needs to be considered in all project deliverables, and in this video you're going to learn how to quickly integrate a quality management plan into your project. Why quality management needs to be considered in your project? In the fast-paced world we live in today, it is imperative that you build in quality into your deliverable from day one so you can minimize your rework. If you don't consider quality of your product or service that you are delivering in your project, it's going to have major impact within your project from an aspect of time, even your scope, because as you are executing on your project, if you didn't think about quality, you may end up doing a lot of rework, which is also going to impact on your budget. So it is critical to also integrate quality management from day one, because there could be standards and regulations that you also have to consider, and you don't want to be thinking of that at the end. You want to do it up front in the design work. Now, I know quality management can seem a little bit overwhelming from a planning perspective, but don't fret, because I'm going to help you break it down. So before we get into creating your quality management project plan, I want you to stay tuned, because later on in the video, I'm going to share with you how you can get your hands on some really good tips on ensuring that your project doesn't fail, something that you also have to consider when you're thinking about quality. Understand the project objectives and the details. Now, this is where your scope statement, which is going to have all of your detail in there. Now, if you're a SLAE project management student on my SLAE project management course, you know this template is going to give you everything you need, and that's exactly what you have to take a look at. Your justification, your actual statement, and the ins and outs. This is going to be critical when it comes to your quality management plan, because this is where you're setting up the stage from day one of looking at quality and building it into your project plan. So for example, if you are building some sort of hardware and it's for the general public, you also want to consider accessibility needs. And in your ins and outs, you're going to have to talk about, you may have to have ADA regulations, and that's part of the quality, so that you're not designing and building something which is for able bodies, but is for all bodies. Disabled, abled, whatever that may be. And that becomes really important from a quality management perspective, because there's going to be rules and regulations you have to take into consideration. So this becomes important, and why you really need to think of your quality management plan. Identify stakeholders, other departments, even external sources that are going to need to be part of your quality management plan. Now, you already have a project team, you already have your general stakeholders that you need, but this is why you consider your quality management plan, because there may be some additional people you didn't even think about that is going to give you the additional information, resource. They may have to execute tasks or just have the fundamental knowledge that you need in order to really ensure that the deliverable that your project is looking to create and implement is going to be successful from day one, and minimizing the amount of rework. That's why we do quality project plans, to minimize our rework. Now, to go and base things off of the accessibility example, you may need to hire an accessibility consultant, because that's a very specialized field, and that you need that information in order to ensure that your product has the built-in quality from day one, and they're the ones who are going to help you. Not only do I have free content here on YouTube, I also got this. If you want to go to the next step with me and you want to learn more at a premium level, you can enroll in SLAE Project Management. It's the exact process I use for all my clients, including all the tools you'll need. I've put the link in the description box below. And now for the next tip. Define quality criteria. Once you know all the players, you now have to define the criteria that each player and that stakeholder is going to have to come to the table with. Quality criteria can take into account functionality, standards, regulations that they need to take into account when helping you with the design of what you're trying to accomplish. This could also include some testing and standards. One thing to consider, for example, is a Lean Six Sigma. The standard behind that is through ISO 9000. There's regulations and rules that you have to take into account to build into your product, and that is something that you're going to be handing off to someone, which is why you need to have that quality plan. Prioritize and execute. Now that you have an idea as to what is it you're going to do, the quality concepts, and what you're going to be integrating, you now need to take those ideas and create tasks out of them and integrate them into your actual project plan. So my recommendation is don't separate the two. You really should integrate it, because there are some activities that you have in your project plan that is going to need one of your quality related activities to be done before or after it. So there's dependencies. So just integrate both of them. It's also easier to manage, and it just ensures that you are following through and that you understand how everything is synced, particularly those that are dependent upon each other. So having that and then putting it in a priority sequence is just going to help ensure that you are thinking of as much as you can to minimize any rework or issues that potentially may come up because you're doing your project and you're going to be stumbling upon things, which is good to do now versus at the end, which is why we have these quality management plans. Standardize and maintain. This is one of the big differences that a quality management plan gives you that a project that doesn't have it does not have. And that is a standardization and maintaining. It's actually thinking about your product or service that you've delivered on once your project is done. How are you going to ensure that that standard is maintained? How are you going to ensure if the standards or regulations have changed that what you've created is going to change along with it? How do you ensure and sustain that everyone's going to follow through? And this is the lovely thing when you integrate a quality management plan into your project plan, is you start thinking of this stuff from day one. And there are important conversations to have that you can bring other executives and other department stakeholders along the path. So when you finally execute and hand it off to them, you're also not only just handing off the training that needs to be done and ensuring that they have what they need, but you're also planting the seed for the additional work they have to do to ensure that that deliverable and that standard is going to be maintained and carried through and updated when regulations change. That is the beauty of a quality management plan. It really is thinking holistically at everything from true start to finish, but then afterwards as well when it's just part of daily business. Now that you know how to integrate a quality management plan into your project, you need to get this. Remember I told you about projects failing? To minimize that and to really have a good quality plan, you need this, and it's free for you. How do you get it? It's in the link underneath this video. Make sure you watch this next video. It's a step-by-step guide on how to create a project communication plan. On that note, if you could like this video, subscribe to this channel, and join this amazing community, we would love to have you part of this amazing group. Till the next time, see you later.